It's 2:14 in the morning, and you're still awake. Not because you're doing anything, you're just lying there, phone face down on your chest, staring at the ceiling, and your mind won't shut up. It's replaying that thing you said 3 years ago, that dumb thing, to that person who probably forgot about it the second it happened, but not you. You're still chewing on it at 2 a.m. like it happened an hour ago. And here's the part that messes with you. You can't stop it. You try to think about something else, and 30 seconds later, boom, it drags you right back. The worry, the what-ifs, the same tired loop running all night, wearing a groove in your brain. Let me tell you something nobody ever bothered to tell you. You are not your thoughts. That voice in your head, the one that never stops, the one that criticizes and worries and spirals, that's not you. That's just noise. And right now that noise is running your whole life. It's picking your mood, it's picking your decisions, it's deciding what you think you're capable of. And you've been letting it, not because you're weak, but because nobody ever handed you the controls. That changes tonight. Because over the next hour, I'm going to show you how to take that voice, the one that's been bullying you your whole life, and put yourself back in charge. Where your focus goes, your whole life follows. And for the first time, you're going to decide where it goes. So don't scroll away. Don't let this play in the background. Because this might be the night the noise finally goes quiet, and you finally hear yourself think. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Meet the voice that never shuts up. Let me tell you about a guy named Marcus. 31. Worked at a job that was fine. Not great, not terrible, just fine. And Marcus had this thing. Every morning, before his eyes were even all the way open, before his feet hit the floor, the voice would start. You're gonna be late. You didn't sleep enough. You look tired. Today's gonna be rough. Did you send that email? You forgot something, didn't you? All that. Before 7 a.m., before coffee, before anything even happened. By the time Marcus got to work, he was already exhausted. Not from the day hadn't started. He was exhausted from the radio in his head that never turned off. You know that radio. Yeah, I think you do. Here's what Marcus didn't understand for the longest time. He thought that voice was him. He thought, well, these are my thoughts, so this is just who I am. I'm an anxious guy. I'm a negative person. That's just my personality. And because he believed the voice was him, he never questioned it. Whatever it said, he took as truth. But real talk, that's the biggest lie your mind ever sells you. Think about it for a second. If you can hear the voice in your head, then who's the one listening? There's the voice. And then there's you, the one noticing the voice. Those aren't the same thing. The thought is happening, and you're the one aware that it's happening. You're not the noise. You're the one who can hear it. That sounds like a small thing. It's not. It changes everything. Because the second you realize that voice isn't you, it's just something your brain does, you stop having to obey it. You wouldn't let a stranger follow you around all day, narrating your life, calling you a screw-up, listing everything that could go wrong. You'd tell that guy to get lost. But when the voice does it from inside, you just believe him every time. Here's the thing, though. The voice isn't even trying to hurt you. Weird, right? Your brain runs that constant worry loop because 100,000 years ago, the caveman who worried about everything, the rustle in the bushes, the noise in the dark, that guy survived. The chill, relaxed caveman got eaten. So your brain is wired to scan for threats and problems all day long. It thinks it's protecting you. Problem is, there's no lion anymore. It's just you in your apartment at 2 a.m. and your brain's still hunting for danger that isn't there. So it makes one up. That awkward text, the bill that's due, what your coworker meant by that look. The brain needs a threat, so it manufactures one, and you lie there paying the price. Marcus had to learn something simple but huge. You can't stop the voice from talking. That's the trap most people fall into. They try to force the thoughts to stop, and fighting them just makes them louder. No, you don't stop it. You just stop believing it's the boss. You hear it, and instead of saluting, you go, "Oh, that's just the voice again, doing its thing." And you keep walking. So here's your first assignment. And it's easy, but it's powerful. For the next couple days, I just want you to catch the voice. That's it. Don't fight it. Don't fix it. Just notice it. When it starts up, the worry, the criticism, the replay, say one small thing in your head. There it is. There's the voice again. Name it, like you're spotting a car you recognize driving by. You're not trying to make it stop. You're just proving to yourself that you're the one watching it, not the one being it. Because the moment you can see the voice instead of drowning in it, you just picked up the remote to your own mind. And once you're holding the remote, you can change the channel. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. Chapter 2. What you stare at grows. So Marcus started catching the voice. And pretty quick he noticed something that kind of freaked him out. Whatever he paid attention to got bigger. Here's what I mean. One morning his boss walked past his desk and didn't say good morning. That's it. That's the whole event. But Marcus caught it, and then his mind grabbed it. Why didn't he say anything? Is he mad? Did I mess something up? Am I on some list? Is this how it starts before they let you go? By lunch, Marcus had built a whole movie out of nothing. A 3-second non-event had eaten his entire morning. You ever do that? Take one small thing and water it until it grows into a jungle. Yeah, we all do. Here's the rule Marcus had to learn. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever you shine it on grows. You shine it on a problem, the problem grows. You shine it on everything wrong with your life, the wrong stuff grows. Not because more of it showed up, but because you're staring at it. And what you stare at fills the screen. Think about the last time you bought a car, or even thought about buying one. Say you're looking at a certain kind, suddenly you see it everywhere. On the highway, in parking lots, every other street. Did everybody go buy that car the same week you did? No, they were always there. Your brain just started showing them to you because you told it that mattered now. That's the part people miss. Your brain shows you more of whatever you tell it is important. And most people, without meaning to, have spent years telling their brain that the most important things to look for are threats, problems, everything that's lacking. So that's the world they see, not because that's the whole world, but because that's the channel they left it on. Now here's where it gets real. Because I know what you might be thinking. So what? I'm just supposed to pretend everything's fine? Ignore my problems, slap a fake smile on it? No, that's not it. I'm not telling you to lie to yourself. Real problems need real attention. That's different. We'll get to that. What I'm talking about is the stuff your brain chews on that isn't a problem you're solving. It's just a problem you're marinating in. There's a difference between looking at something to fix it and staring at it to suffer. Marcus was a marinator. He'd replay the same worry 20 times. And here's the thing, not one of those 20 times solved anything. The first time you think about a problem, that might be useful. Times 2 through 20, that's not thinking, that's just bleeding. So he started running a little test on himself. Whenever he caught his mind chewing on something, he'd ask one question. Am I solving this, or am I just soaking in it? And if the answer was soaking, he'd gently move his attention somewhere else. Not force it, just redirect, like turning a steering wheel. Because you can't tell your mind to stop thinking about something. Try it. Don't think about a red door. What'd you just think about? Right. You can't delete a thought. But you can give your mind something else to hold. And that works. So here's your assignment for this one. Today, catch yourself soaking. One time is enough to start. When you notice your mind chewing the same worry over and over, ask the question, solving or soaking? And if you're soaking, don't yell at yourself about it. Just pick one thing right in front of you, the song that's playing, the coffee in your hand, the road, the sky, and put your attention there instead. Just for a minute. You're not running from the problem. You're just proving you can aim the sunlight yourself. Because you've got this one beam of attention. One. That's it. And every second, you're pointing it somewhere. The only question is whether you're aiming it or whether it's just spraying all over whatever grabs it. And once you learn to aim it on purpose, man, that's when your whole life starts to change. But there's something that hijacks that beam faster than anything else on earth. It's in your pocket right now. And that's what we're talking about next. Chapter 3, The Thing in Your Pocket. Marcus figured out how to aim his attention, and then every single day something yanked it right out of his hands. Something he carried everywhere, something he touched before he even said good morning to anybody. His phone. Here's Marcus's morning, and tell me if it sounds familiar. Alarm goes off. Before his eyes even focus, hands already reaching for the phone. And then he's gone. The feed, the notifications, somebody's vacation, somebody's new car, somebody's big announcement, a headline designed to make him mad, a text he now has to think about. 10 minutes go by, 15, and before he's even stood up, his mind is already full of other people's lives, other people's opinions, other people's highlight reels. There's no room left for his own thoughts. The channel got picked for him. Let me be straight with you about something. That phone is not neutral. There are rooms full of very smart people whose entire job, the thing they get paid for, is to keep you scrolling. To hold your attention as long as humanly possible. You're not weak for getting sucked in. You're going up against billion-dollar companies engineered to grab the exact beam of attention we just spent 2 chapters learning to control. It's not a fair fight, and nobody warned you it was even a fight. Here's what it does to your head. Remember, what you stare at grows. So what happens when you stare at 100 strangers' best moments every morning? Their wedding, their promotion, their perfect kid, their beach trip. You start comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. Your regular Tuesday against 100 people's best day of the year. And you lose, every time. Not because your life's worse, but because you're comparing the full, messy truth of your life to a commercial of theirs. Marcus would put the phone down after 20 minutes and just feel behind, heavy, like everybody else got a head start and he missed the memo. And nothing had even happened to him. He just took a bath in everybody else's highlights and came out feeling small. And here's the sneaky part. It's not just the comparison, it's what it does to your focus muscle. Every time you feel one tiny flicker of boredom, waiting in line, sitting at a red light, one quiet second, your hand goes to the phone, automatic. So your brain never learns to just sit, to be still, to think one thought all the way through. You're training yourself thousands of times a week to bail the second things get slow. And then you wonder why you can't focus on anything hard, why you start things and quit. It's not a character flaw. You practiced distraction 10,000 times. You got good at it.
Now look, I'm not going to tell you to throw your phone in a lake.
That's not real life. You've got a job, people, bills, a group chat that actually matters. The phone's not the enemy. Letting it grab the wheel first thing before you've even got your own hands on it, that's the problem. Because those first few minutes when you wake up, they set the channel for your whole day. Whatever fills your head first tends to stick around. Fill it with 100 strangers and a headline built to upset you. That's the water you're swimming in till noon.
So here's your assignment.
And this one's small, but I'm telling you, it hits different. Tomorrow morning, don't touch the phone for the first 10 minutes. That's it, just 10. Leave it face down, don't check a thing. Get up, get some water, look out a window, take a breath, whatever. But give your own mind those 10 minutes before you hand them to everybody else. If 10 feels like too much, start with 5. Just claim a little bit of your morning back before the world grabs it. Because here's the truth. Every morning, before you've even chosen anything, your attention is up for grabs. And somebody's going to take it. The only question is whether it's you or the thing in your pocket. And once you start protecting those first minutes, you'll be shocked how much quieter your head gets.
But quieting the outside noise is only half of it.
Because there's a voice inside that's meaner than any stranger online, and it's time to deal with him directly. Chapter 4. The Bully Lives Inside. So Marcus started protecting his mornings. The outside noise got quieter, but that just made him hear the inside voice more clearly. And that voice? It was mean. Here's something Marcus caught himself doing one day. He was getting ready in the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and without even thinking, the voice went, "You're pathetic." Just like that, casual, like it was nothing. And what got him, when he actually stopped and noticed it, was the tone. He would never talk to another human being that way, not his worst enemy, but himself, all day long.
Let me ask you something real.
The way that voice in your head talks to you. You're stupid. You always mess this up. Why do you even bother? Everybody can see what a fraud you are. If a friend talked to you like that, one time you'd be done with them. You'd walk. You'd never call them back. But that voice has been talking to you like that for years, and you've just been taking it.
Here's the thing Marcus had to understand.
You believe that voice because it sounds like it's on your side. It feels like it's being honest, like it's the real truth everybody else is too polite to say. So when it says you're not good enough, some part of you goes, "Yeah, that's probably right. That's just facts." But it's not facts. It's a habit. It's a track that's been playing so long you stopped hearing it as a choice and started hearing it as reality. And where'd that voice even come from? Think about it. That voice usually isn't even yours. It's a parent who was never happy, a teacher who wrote you off, kids who were cruel when you were too young to defend yourself. Somewhere back there, somebody said something, and your brain recorded it. And it's been playing that recording ever since, in their voice, that you now think is yours. You're walking around getting bullied by an echo.
Now here's what I need you to get.
Being hard on yourself doesn't make you better. A lot of people secretly believe that if they ease up on themselves, they'll get lazy, fall apart. So they keep the whip out, keep the voice mean, thinking it's what keeps them going. But it's a lie. You don't beat a plant into growing. You don't scream at a kid to help them learn. Fear and shame might light a fire under you for a day, but long term, they just make you scared to try. because trying means risking that voice tearing you apart again.
Marcus didn't need the voice louder.
He needed it kinder. And here's the trick. Kinder isn't soft. Kinder is the voice a good coach uses. A good coach doesn't scream, "You're garbage," when you miss. He goes, "Okay, that one got away from you. Reset. Here's what to fix. Go again." Firm, honest, but for you, not against you. That's the voice you're trying to build. So Marcus started doing something that felt stupid at first. When he caught the voice going in on him, "You idiot," he'd stop, and he'd ask one question. Would I say this to somebody I love? And if the answer was no, he'd say the kinder version instead, the one he'd actually say to a friend who was struggling. Not fake, not "everything's amazing," just human. "Okay, that was rough. You're tired. Let's just handle the next thing."
So that's your assignment.
This week, catch that voice one time when it's beating you up. Just once to start. And ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? If you wouldn't, then say to yourself what you'd say to them. Out loud if you can, in your head if you can't. It's gonna feel weird and forced the first time. Do it anyway. You're not being soft. You're firing a bully you should have fired a long time ago. Because you've been listening to that voice your whole life, like it was telling you the truth about who you are. It wasn't. It was just the loudest thing in the room, and starting now, you get to decide what that voice sounds like.
But changing the voice is one thing.
What happens when your mind drags you out of today completely into a past you can't change and a future that hasn't happened? That's next.
Chapter 5. Trapped in a time that isn't now.
So Marcus was working on the voice, but he noticed something else about his mind. It was almost never here. It was always somewhere else, back in the past, chewing on something that already happened, or out in the future, worrying about something that hadn't happened yet. Almost never just in the room he was actually standing in. Here's a moment that got him. Marcus was sitting at dinner with people he cared about. Good food, people laughing, a genuinely nice night. And where was his head? Replaying a conversation from work that afternoon, and jumping ahead to a bill he had to deal with that weekend. He was physically at that table, but he missed the whole dinner. His body was there. He wasn't.
You ever done that? Been somewhere good, but your mind's 100 miles away?
Driven home and don't even remember the drive? Yeah, that's most people, most of the time. Here's what Marcus had to see. The past and the future. Your mind treats them like real places you can go. But you can't. They don't exist. The past is over. It's a memory, and your brain edits memories, so half of what you're replaying didn't even happen the way you remember it. And the future? It's not real yet. It's a guess, usually a scary one your brain made up. So you're standing in the one place that's actually real, right now, and giving all your attention to two places that aren't.
And notice what your mind does with each one.
The past, it hands you regret. Should have said this, shouldn't have done that, if only. The future, it hands you anxiety. What if this goes wrong? What if I can't handle it? What if it all falls apart? Regret and anxiety, that's the whole menu. And here's the kicker. You can't do anything in either place. You can't fix the past from here. You can't control the future from here. The only place you've ever been able to actually do something is right now. The only spot that has a steering wheel.
Real talk though,
I'm not going to feed you that line about how you should live in the moment like it's easy. It's not easy. Your brain's been time traveling your whole life. But here's what helped Marcus, and it's stupid simple. When he caught his mind gone, off in the past or the future, he'd come back through his body. Because your body is always in the present. It's the one part of you that can't time travel. Your body doesn't know what happened last year. It's just here, right now, breathing. So he'd use it as an anchor.
Here's how. He'd feel his feet on the floor, actually feel them, the weight. Or he'd take one slow breath and just feel it go in and out. Or notice 5 things he could see in the room. Sounds too simple to matter, right? But every time he did it for just a second, the past and the future let go. And he was back, in the only place anything real can happen. So here's your assignment. Today, one time, when you catch your mind stuck in the past or spun up about the future, come back through your body. Take one slow breath and feel it, or feel your feet on the ground, or look around and name 3 things you see. That's it, 10 seconds. You're not trying to empty your mind or become a monk. You're just practicing coming home, back to the one moment you actually have. Because life isn't happening back there in the past.
It's not waiting out there in the future. It's happening right now. This breath, this moment, the only one you ever actually get to live in. And if your mind's always somewhere else, you're gonna miss the whole thing. Now all this stuff about controlling your focus, it sounds great until a really bad day hits and your emotions take the wheel completely. So what do you do when the feelings are just too strong? That's next. Chapter 6, When the Feelings Are Too Strong. So Marcus was getting better at all of it. Catching the voice, aiming his focus, coming back to now. And then he'd have one of those days where none of it worked. Where the feeling just took him, flooded him, and all the nice techniques went right out the window.
Here's one of those days.
Marcus got an email at work. Something went wrong and it landed on him. And boom, instantly, his chest got tight, face got hot, stomach dropped. And his mind took off like a rocket. You're gonna get fired. You always screw up. Everybody knows. This is a disaster. Full spiral. Within seconds. And in that moment, just aim your focus felt like a joke. The wave already had him. You know that feeling? Where something hits and you're just gone before you even had a chance. Yeah, that's not weakness, that's biology, and you gotta understand it to beat it. Here's what's actually happening. When a big emotion hits, the thinking part of your brain, the smart part, the part that makes good choices, it basically goes offline. The alarm part takes over, the old caveman part, the part that only knows fight, run, or freeze. That's why you can't think your way out in that moment. The part that does the thinking isn't even in the room, it got locked out. So when you're in a full spiral and you can't logic yourself calm, it's not because you're broken. It's because the wiring literally shut that door for a minute. So the trick isn't to fight the wave. You can't, not at full strength. The trick is to ride it long enough for the thinking part to come back online. And here's the thing nobody tells you. That takes way less time than you'd guess. A wave of emotion, the raw physical part, the chemicals flooding your body, if you don't feed it, it burns through in about 90 seconds. 90 seconds. The problem is, most people feed it. They pour thoughts on it. This is terrible. What if? It's all falling apart. And every scary thought is fresh fuel. So a 90-second wave becomes a 3-hour flood. Marcus learned to do the opposite. When the wave hit, instead of fighting it or feeding it, he'd just let it be there. He'd go, okay, this is a wave, my body's doing the thing, it's uncomfortable, but it's not an emergency, and it's gonna pass. And then he'd breathe, slow, long breath out. Because here's a little secret about your body. A long, slow breath out is like flipping a switch that tells your alarm system, "We're safe, stand down." You can't argue your brain calm, but you can breathe it calm. The body has a back door the mind doesn't.
And one more thing that helped him a ton. Naming it. Out loud or in his head, he'd just say what was happening. "This is anxiety. This is my chest getting tight. This is fear." Sounds too simple, but when you name a feeling, you put a tiny bit of space between you and it. You go from being the wave to watching the wave. And the second you're watching it, you already got a little bit of yourself back. So here's your assignment. Next time a wave hits, and it will, don't try to make it stop. Do 3 things. Name it. This is anxiety. Breathe. 1 long, slow breath out. And remind yourself, this is a wave. It peaks and it passes. Then just ride the 90 seconds without pouring fuel on it. Don't feed it with a story. Just let it move through you and out. Because you're gonna have bad days. Waves are gonna hit. That's not something you can stop. But there's a huge difference between a wave that knocks you down for 90 seconds and one that drowns you for a week. And that difference is whether you feed it or ride it. Now, once you can handle the hard moments, there's a quieter enemy to deal with. The stuff you tell yourself all day without even noticing, the little words that shape everything. That's next. Chapter 7. The words you don't even notice. So Marcus could handle the big waves now, but he started catching something smaller. The little words he said to himself all day long without even noticing. The quiet ones, the ones running under everything. And it turned out those little words were shaping his whole life. Here's what he caught. Somebody at work asked Marcus if he wanted to lead a project, and before he even thought about it, out came, "Oh, I'm not really good at that kind of thing." Just automatic, didn't even question it. And later that night it hit him. Wait, is that even true? Or is that just something I say? Because he'd said it so many times, it had stopped being an opinion and turned into a fact. In his own head. You do this too. We all do. Little phrases we repeat about ourselves so often we never stop to check if they're real. I'm just not a morning person. I'm bad with money. I can't do this stuff. I'm always late. I'm not smart like them. That's just how I am. You've got a whole list. And here's the problem. Your brain believes what you tell it. Repeat it enough, and it stops being something you say and becomes something you are. Because here's how it works. Remember how your brain shows you more of whatever you tell it matters. Same thing with these labels. You say, "I'm bad with money," enough times, and your brain goes, "Got it, that's who we are." And then it stops even looking for ways you could be good with money. Why would it? You already told it the answer. The label becomes a wall, and you never climb it, because you don't even see it as a wall anymore. You see it as just the edge of what's possible for you. And a lot of these you didn't even choose. Somebody handed them to you. A parent said, "You're the shy one," when you were 6, and you've been carrying shy for 25 years. A teacher said you weren't good at math, and you decided numbers weren't your thing for the rest of your life. One offhand comment from somebody who wasn't even paying attention, and you built a whole identity around it. Now here's the thing Marcus realized. These labels feel safe. Weird, right? But think about it. If "I'm just not good at that" is true, then you don't have to try. You're off the hook. The label protects you from the risk of failing, because if you never try, you can never fail. You just stay safe behind the wall, telling yourself that's who you are. But safe and stuck are the same place.
The wall that keeps failure out also keeps you in. So Marcus started doing something. When he caught one of those labels, "I'm not good at that," he'd add one word: yet. I'm not good at that. Yet. That tiny word cracks the wall open, because I'm bad with money is a closed door. I'm not good with money yet. That's a door with a handle. It says this can change. I just haven't learned it yet. Same fact, totally different future. And for the ones that were handed to him by other people, he'd stop and ask, whose voice is that even? Did I decide this, or did somebody decide it for me when I was a kid? And a lot of the time, once he saw it wasn't even his, it lost its grip. So here's your assignment. This one takes 30 seconds. Right now, think of one label you put on yourself. One, I'm just not, or I'm bad at, or I can't. You already know one. It came to mind the second I said it. And this week, catch yourself the next time you say it out loud. And add the word yet. That's it. Just crack the door. I'm not there yet. You don't have to believe it all the way. You just have to stop slamming the door shut on yourself. Because you've been describing yourself with words you never even checked. Words other people handed you. Words that turned into walls. And here's the truth. You are not a fixed thing. You're not just how you are. You're how you've been. And how you've been is not the same as how you have to stay. Now you can change every word in your head. But if you're standing in a room with people in a life that keeps feeding the old story, that's a whole other fight. Your surroundings versus your focus, that's next. Chapter 8. You become the room you stand in. So Marcus was changing the words in his head, and it was working until he walked into certain rooms, around certain people, in certain places. And boom, the old Marcus came right back. Like the room itself reached in and flipped him back to who he used to be. Here's what he noticed. There was this group he'd hang around, good people mostly, but every time they got together it was the same thing. Complaining about the boss, about money, about how everything's rigged and nothing ever works out. An hour of it, 2 hours, and Marcus would leave feeling heavy, drained, like the world was smaller and greyer than when he walked in. He didn't add much to it, he just sat in it, breathed it in, and it stuck to him for the rest of the day. You know that feeling? Where you spend time around certain people and you leave feeling worse, and you can't even say exactly why. Yeah, that's real, and it matters more than you think. Here's the thing Marcus had to face. Your focus doesn't happen in a bubble. We spent all these chapters learning to aim your attention, but the room you're in is aiming it too. The conversations around you, the mood of the people you're with, what everyone's staring at. You think you're steering, but if everybody around you is looking at everything wrong with the world, your beam gets dragged that way whether you like it or not. It's like trying to walk straight while everyone around you is pushing sideways. You can do it, but man, it's a fight. Because here's how people work. We catch each other's moods. You felt it. One person walks into a good room in a foul mood, and 10 minutes later everybody's a little off. Or somebody genuinely upbeat shows up, and the whole room lifts. Moods are contagious. Attitudes are contagious. The way the people around you see the world slowly becomes the way you see it. You don't decide to catch it, you just do, like a cold. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not telling you to dump everybody who's ever had a bad day. That's not it. Real friends go through hard times, and you show up for them. That's what people do. I'm not talking about cutting people off. I'm talking about being awake to it, noticing what a room does to you. Because most people never even think about it. They just soak up whatever's around them and wonder why they feel how they feel.
Marcus started paying attention.
Not judging anybody, just noticing. Which people did he leave feeling bigger around, lighter, like the world had more room in it? And which ones did he leave feeling smaller, heavier, more hopeless? And once he saw it clearly, he made a quiet choice. Spend a little more time in the rooms that grew him, a little less in the ones that shrank him. Not dramatic, nobody got a big speech. He just started steering toward what lifted him.
And here's a piece most people miss.
The room isn't just people, it's what you let in. The accounts you follow, the videos you watch all night, the stuff you read that leaves you angry or empty. That's a room too, a room you walk into every time you pick up the phone. Marcus cleaned that up the same way. Cut a few things that left him feeling worse, added a few that actually fed him. Because you're standing in that room more than any other. So here's your assignment. This week, just notice one thing. After you spend time with someone or after you get off your phone, check how you feel. Bigger or smaller, lifted or drained. That's it. Don't cut anybody off. Don't make it a whole thing. Just start noticing what each room does to you. Because you can't steer toward better rooms if you never notice which ones they are.
Because here's the truth nobody says out loud.
You are, slowly, becoming the average of the rooms you stand in. The moods you sit in, the words you marinate in, the things you stare at every day. It's all seeping in, shaping how you see everything. So you'd better know what's seeping, because it's building the person you're turning into. Now, even when you fix the voice, the focus, the rooms, there's one thing that'll wreck all of it if you don't get it handled. It's the habit of comparing your life to everybody else's. And it's time to kill it. That's next.
Chapter 9. The Thief That Steals Every Good Thing.
So Marcus was steering toward better rooms. But there was one habit that followed him into every room he entered. One that could take something genuinely good in his life and make it feel like nothing in about 2 seconds flat. Comparison. Here's a moment that stuck with him. Marcus had actually had a good week, handled something at work he was proud of, felt solid, felt like maybe he was finally getting somewhere. Then he opened his phone that night, and there it was, somebody he came up with announcing something huge. New job, way more money, the whole thing. And in 1 second, Marcus's good week just evaporated. Gone. Suddenly he wasn't doing well anymore. He was behind. He was failing. He wasn't enough. Nothing about his life had changed in that second. Only what he was looking at changed. You felt that, right? You're doing okay, genuinely okay, until you see what somebody else has. And then okay isn't okay anymore. Yeah, that's the thief. And he's slick.
Here's the first thing Marcus had to understand.
When you compare, you're playing a game you literally cannot win. Because there is always someone ahead. Always. You make more money, there's someone who makes more. You get in shape, there's someone more fit. You hit a goal, somebody hit a bigger one. So if your good feeling depends on being ahead of everyone, you will never, ever feel good. Not for real, not for long. There's no finish line in that race. It just goes forever, and you die running it.
And here's the part that makes it truly unfair.
Remember what we said about the phone? You're comparing your insides to their outsides. You know every anxious thought you've got, every bill, every doubt, every 2 a.m. spiral. You've got the full behind-the-scenes footage of your own life. But them? You only see the trailer, the highlight, the one photo they picked out of 40. You're comparing everything you know about yourself to the tiny sliver they chose to show you. That's not a fair fight. That's rigged, and you rigged it against yourself.
That guy with the big announcement?
Marcus had no idea what his life actually looked like. Maybe he was drowning in debt to look like that. Maybe he was miserable. Maybe he was up at 2 a.m. comparing himself to somebody else. You never know. You're comparing your real, messy, complicated life to a stranger's commercial, and losing on purpose. Now here's the shift that changed it for Marcus. He stopped measuring himself against other people and started measuring himself against himself. One question: am I better than I was a year ago? Not better than him, not better than them, better than the Marcus from last year. Because that's the only race that's actually yours. That's the only one that's fair. That's the only one you can win. The guy you were yesterday, that's your competition, nobody else.
And something else he learned. You can actually be happy for people. Sounds obvious, but it's a skill. When somebody wins, you've got two choices. You can let it mean you're losing, or you can let it mean it's possible. Somebody like you did something big. That's not proof you're behind. That's proof the thing can be done by a regular person, maybe even by you. Their win doesn't take anything from you unless you let it. So here's your assignment. This week, catch yourself comparing one time. You'll feel it, that little drop in your stomach when you see what somebody has. And when it happens, ask the one question: am I better than I was a year ago? Point the beam back at your road, your progress, where you started and where you are now. That's the only scoreboard that means anything. Because comparison will rob you your whole life if you let it.
It'll walk into every good moment you ever have and quietly take it from you. Your job, your progress, your peace, all of it stolen over a highlight reel that isn't even the whole truth. Don't hand the thief your life. Run your own race. It's the only one you were ever in. Now, everything we've built so far lives or dies on one thing: doing it when you don't feel like it. When the motivation's gone and it's just you and the hard thing. That's next. Chapter 10. When you don't feel like it.
So Marcus had all these tools now.
And they worked great on the days he felt like using them. But then there were the other days. The flat days, the tired days, the days where he knew exactly what to do and just didn't want to. And those days, it turned out, were the whole ball game. Here's what Marcus used to do. He'd decide he was going to change something, get up earlier, work on himself, whatever. And for about 3 days he was on fire, motivated, pumped. And then day 4 came, and the feeling was gone. He woke up tired, didn't feel like it, and thought, I'll start again when I feel motivated. And he waited for that feeling to come back. And he waited. And it didn't. And another thing he started just died.
You've been there, right?
Fired up at the start, gone by Thursday. Waiting to feel like it before you do the thing. Yeah, here's the trap you're caught in. Marcus believed something that was quietly wrecking him. He believed the feeling had to come first. That motivation shows up, and then you take action. Feel like it, then do it. But that's backwards. That's the biggest lie about getting anything done. Because here's the truth. The feeling doesn't come before the action. The feeling comes after you start. You don't wait to feel like working out and then work out. You start working out, and a few minutes in, the feeling shows up. Motivation isn't the match that lights the fire. It's the heat that comes off it once it's already burning.
So if you're waiting to feel like it before you start,
you're gonna wait forever. Because it works the other way around. Action first, feeling follows. Every single time. Here's what Marcus figured out. On the days he didn't feel like it, those were actually the most important days. Anybody can do it when they're pumped. That's easy. That doesn't build anything. But showing up when you don't feel like it, that's the day you actually change. Because you're proving something to yourself. You're proving you're not run by your moods anymore. That you'll do what you said, even when the feeling's not there. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not from feeling good, from knowing you'll show up either way.
But here's the move that made it actually work for him. He made it stupid small. See, on a low day, go work out for an hour feels impossible, so you do nothing. So Marcus shrank it. The rule became, just do the first 2 minutes. Just put the shoes on, just open the thing, just do one. Because 2 minutes isn't scary, anybody can do 2 minutes. And here's the magic. Once you start, starting was the whole battle. 9 times out of 10, once the shoes are on, you keep going. And the one time you don't, you still did 2 minutes instead of 0. You still kept the promise. You still stayed in the game. Because it was never really about the 2 minutes. It was about not letting a feeling make the call.
So here's your assignment. Pick one thing you've been waiting to feel like doing. You know what it is. And this week, on a day you don't feel like it, do just the first 2 minutes. That's the whole assignment. 2 minutes. Put on the shoes, open the document, do 1 rep. Don't wait for the feeling, start without it and let it catch up. Because the people who actually build something aren't the ones who feel motivated all the time. There's no such person. That guy doesn't exist. They're just the ones who learned to move without the feeling, who stopped waiting to feel like it and started anyway. Now you've got the tools and you've got the discipline to use them. But your mind's going to throw one more trick at you. It's going to tell you all this stuff isn't working right when it's starting to. And you need to see that coming. That's next. Chapter 11. The lie that it's not working. So Marcus was showing up, doing the 2 minutes, using the tools. A few weeks in. And then his mind pulled the sneakiest trick of all. Right when things were actually starting to shift, the voice whispered, "This isn't working. You're wasting your time. Nothing's changing." And Marcus almost believed it, almost quit right there. Right before it all would have paid off. Here's why this one's so dangerous. Because it feels true. Marcus had been at it for weeks, catching the voice, aiming his focus, doing the small stuff. And his life didn't look dramatically different yet. Still had the same job, same bills, same apartment. So the voice went, "See, all this effort and nothing happened, might as well stop." And on the surface it had a point. Where were the fireworks? But here's what Marcus didn't understand yet. Change doesn't work the way you think it does. You expect it to be a straight line. Put in effort, see results. More effort, more results. Smooth and steady. But that's not how anything real works. Real change is invisible for a long time. It's happening underground where you can't see it, and then it shows up all at once. Think about bamboo. You plant it, you water it, and for a long time, nothing. You water dirt. Week after week, looks like you're wasting your time. And then it breaks the surface and shoots up feet in a matter of days. Now, was it doing nothing all those weeks? No, it was building roots. Underground, where you couldn't see. All that time it looked like nothing was happening. Everything was happening. It just wasn't happening where you could see it yet. That's you. Right now. Those weeks of catching the voice, of showing up, of doing the small stuff. That's roots. You're not seeing much on the surface, so your mind says it's not working. But under there, new wiring, new habits, new patterns forming, the old grooves in your brain getting shallower and new ones getting carved. It's slow, it's quiet, you can't feel it happening. But it's happening. And here's the cruel part about the timing. The voice tells you it's not working, right at the hardest point. Right when you've put in real effort but haven't seen the payoff yet. That gap between the work and the reward, that's where almost everybody quits. Not because it wasn't working, but because it hadn't finished working. They dug the roots and walked away 1 week before it broke the surface. So Marcus made himself a rule. He stopped measuring by how he felt and how much his life had visibly changed. Instead, he measured one thing. Did he show up? Did he do the small thing today, yes or no? Because he couldn't control how fast the results came, but he could control whether he kept watering. And he decided, the results aren't the scoreboard. Showing up is the scoreboard. Take care of the roots, and the growth takes care of itself. And one more thing that saved him. He learned to look for the small wins, not the big obvious ones, the tiny ones. Like, he caught the voice a little faster this week. He rode a wave without drowning in it. He didn't spiral as long as he used to. Little stuff, easy to miss. But those little wins are the roots showing. They're the proof it's working, if you actually look. So here's your assignment. This week, when that voice says, this isn't working, and it will, don't argue with it. Just answer it with one thing. Find one small win. One moment you handled a little better than you would have a month ago. Caught the voice quicker, breathed through a wave, did the 2 minutes on a bad day. Point to it and go, there, that's a root. It's working. I just can't see the whole tree yet. Because your mind is going to try to get you to quit right before the payoff. That's not a sign you're failing. That's the last test before it breaks the surface. The people who make it aren't the ones it never happened to. They're the ones who kept watering the dirt when every part of them said it was pointless. Now there's one last thing standing between you and all of this sticking for good. It's what you do with the mistakes, the slip-ups, the days you fall off completely. And it's the final piece. That's next. Chapter 12. What you do after you fall. So Marcus was watering the roots, trusting it. And then he fell off. Hard. A brutal week hit. Work, stress, life, and he dropped everything. No tools, no 2 minutes. Straight back to old Marcus. Phone first thing, spiraling at 2 a.m., the voice running the whole show. For like 5 days straight. And what he did next, that turned out to be the most important thing in this entire story. Here's what old Marcus would have done. He'd have looked at those 5 bad days and gone, see, I knew it. I always do this. I can't stick to anything. What's even the point? And he'd have used the slip-up as proof he was a failure. And that proof would have become the reason to quit the whole thing. For good. 1 bad week, and he'd throw away months of progress. You do this too. We all do. You're doing good. You slip up once, miss a few days, break the streak, fall back into the old thing, and then, instead of just getting back up, you burn the whole house down. Well, I already blew it, so might as well quit completely. That's the move that kills more people's progress than anything else. Not the slip. What you do after the slip. Here's what Marcus had to learn. Falling isn't the problem. Everybody falls. There is not one single person who changed their life on a smooth, straight path with no slip-ups. Not one. Falling is part of it. It's not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're a human being doing a hard thing. The fall was always going to happen. It's built into the deal. So the question was never, how do I never fall? You can't. The only question that matters is, how fast do I get back up? Old Marcus, when he fell, he'd stay down for months, sometimes forever. The slip became a full stop. The new move? Fall and get back up the next day, or the next hour. Make the gap between falling and starting again as small as you possibly can, because it's never the fall that beats you, it's how long you lie there. And here's the thing that unlocked it for him. He stopped needing to be perfect and started aiming to be consistent. Those are really different. Perfect means never missing, and the second you do miss, and you will, perfect is dead, so you quit. Consistent means you miss, and you come back. Miss, come back. Consistent has room for falling built right into it. Perfect breaks the first time you're human. Consistent bends and keeps going. You don't need a perfect record, you need to keep coming back. That's the whole thing. So after those bad days, Marcus did something new. He didn't beat himself up. He didn't quit. He just went, okay, I fell off. That happens. Today I do 1 2-minute thing. That's it. And he got back up. Quietly. No drama. No big restart Monday speech. Just back up today. And that's the day he actually became someone different. Not the weeks it was easy. The day he fell and got back up without letting it mean anything about who he was. So here's your assignment, and this is the one to really keep. Next time you slip, and you're gonna slip, don't you dare use it as proof of anything. Just get back up the very next day. Do one small thing, 2 minutes, and say the words that change everything. I fell. That's human. I'm getting back up. Today. No self-hatred, no quitting, just back up. That's it. That's the whole skill. Because you're gonna fall. I'm not gonna lie to you and say you won't. Life's gonna knock you off. Bad weeks are coming. You'll drop the whole thing sometimes. But falling was never gonna be what beat you. The only thing that can beat you is deciding to stay down. And that, staying down, that's the one thing that's always completely your call. Now you've got all of it, every tool. Let me bring it home. Let me remind you who you are and what tonight was really about. That's the ending. Say next one more time. Closing. You've had the remote the whole time, so let's come back to where we started. It's 2 a.m., you're lying there, phone on your chest, and the voice won't shut up. Remember that? That was the beginning of tonight. And I told you one thing right up front. That voice isn't you. It's just noise. And that everything was going to come down to one simple truth. Where your focus goes, your life follows. Now you know what to do with that. Think about everything you're walking out of here with. You know how to catch the voice instead of drowning in it. You know that what you stare at grows. You know how to protect your mornings before the world grabs them. You know that mean voice is just an echo and you can make it kinder. You know how to come back to now when your mind time travels. You know how to ride a wave for 90 seconds instead of drowning for a week. You know to add the word yet, to watch the rooms you stand in, to run your own race instead of comparing, to move before the feeling comes, to keep watering when it looks like nothing's growing, and to get back up, fast, every single time you fall. That's not a small thing. That's the whole set of controls to your own mind. Controls nobody ever handed you. You've had this remote your entire life. You just never knew you were holding it. Now let me tell you how Marcus's story ends. Remember him? The guy whose head was a radio that never turned off, who grabbed his phone before he grabbed his own thoughts, who got bullied by a voice he thought was him. He's different now. Not perfect, let's be real, nobody's perfect, and I'd never sell you that. He still has hard days, the voice still shows up, waves still hit. But here's what changed. When the voice starts now, he hears it instead of being it. When a wave hits, he rides it instead of drowning. When he falls, he gets back up the next day instead of staying down for months. His life on the outside? It's still a regular life. Same kind of job, same kind of bills. But on the inside, it's his now. The radio finally has a volume knob, and his hand is on it. For the first time, Marcus runs Marcus. And here's the thing. Marcus was never special. That's the whole point. He wasn't smarter or stronger or luckier than you. He was just a regular, tired guy who learned that the voice in his head wasn't the boss. Everything he did, you can do. Everything that changed for him can change for you, because it was never about being extraordinary. It was about picking up the remote. Now I gotta be honest with you about something before I let you go. Knowing all this doesn't change anything. Not by itself. You could nod along to every word tonight and wake up tomorrow exactly the same. Because knowing isn't doing. All of this, every single tool, it only works if you use it. And you don't have to use all of it tomorrow. That'll just overwhelm you and you'll do nothing. Pick one. The one that hit you hardest tonight. You already know which one it was. It's the one that made you go, yeah, that's me. Start there, just that one, tomorrow. Because here's what I know. You didn't find this by accident tonight. Something in you is tired. Tired of the noise. Tired of the 2 a.m. spirals. Tired of feeling like a passenger in your own head. Tired of that voice running a life that's supposed to be yours. And that tired part of you, that's not the weak part. That's the part that's ready. So this is it. The noise is going to come back tomorrow. I'm not going to pretend it won't. But you're not the same person who has to just sit there and take it anymore. You know what that voice is now. You know it's not you. And you know for the first time that you're the one holding the controls. Where your focus goes, your whole life follows. So point it somewhere good. Point it at the life you actually want. And when the voice tries to drag it back to the dark, and it will, you just take the beam back gently and aim it forward again, again and again, as many times as it takes. That's not a one-time thing. That's the whole practice. That's the rest of your life. And you finally know how to do it. The radio's still gonna play. But you? You've got the knob now. Turn it down. And go build a life that's finally, actually, yours. Your mind was always yours to run. Tonight, you finally take the wheel. Now go. I'm proud of you.